Hello, this is an overview video for the token variant art module versions 4.36 and 4.37. These versions introduce some more technical or at least less intuitive new options that you'll find under effect mappings and overlays, and thus I decided that they warranted an actual explanation video. Alright, let's get to it. So the two simpler options that you'll find under effect mappings are groups and disable. So the new option groups allows you to group various effect mappings under headings. If you go to the global effect configs, you'll find this new heading over here, group, and these new rows in the table. So every new mapping that you add will get automatically assigned under this default heading. It will get assigned a default group. You can specify new groups by simply typing in new names over here. If I type in a new name called group 1 and press enter or simply click away from this text box, you'll see a new heading gets created and the mapping assigned to it. So let's create group 2. There you go, group 2 gets created, and I can assign this effect mapping to an already existing group 1. But that's it for groups. So another option is disable, which allows you to temporarily disable mappings without actually having to remove them. So for example, at the moment, this particular token has an overlay displayed whenever the blinded status effect gets applied or removed. So if I go under the active effects over here and find blind, I can disable particular mapping by enabling this checkbox for disable. If I click apply, you'll see that the overlay gets removed. And I can quickly toggle it back on by simply unchecking the checkbox. So each group also has a group disable toggle. If I press this little kind of turn on and off icon, you'll see that all of the disable checkboxes get toggled for every single mapping under this heading. Okay, moving on to the overlay options. I guess I'll begin by showing you what it now enables you to do, and then I'll explain how these settings actually work. So if we go to the global configurations and enable the FFBox grouping, apply, you'll see now when we hover over the token or control it, this neat little blue status menu will show up to the right of the token. And this overlay actually consists of many different mappings. For example, we have one mapping for token name, a couple for HP values, one for AC, 3 for the movement speeds, etc. And if we hover over other tokens, you'll see that the values get now correspond to the actual token that we're hovering over. So this was possible using the previous versions of the module. However, now, if we, for example, go to the text box background, which is this blue background on which all of the other overlays sit, and we shift it around, you'll see that all the other overlays move together with it. But this was not possible before. They even scale together with that overlay and rotate with it. So the way this is done is using this new option found under the miscellaneous tab called parent, which allows you to assign a particular overlay to be a child of another. So once again, if we go to FFBox background, FFBox grouping, all of these overlays with the purple cog icons are actually children of the text box background. And if you were to hover over this cog icon, it would say that it is a child of text box background. For example, if we go to the actor AC, overlay settings for it, you'll see that under the miscellaneous tab, it indeed points to the parent named text box background. If, for example, if we turned it back to be the token is the default setting for all of the overlays. Click apply, apply again. You'll see that the AC now jumped back to the actual token and is being positioned relative to the token. See, it no longer disappears when a blue text box background disappears, as it is no longer linked to it. We set AC be a child of the text box background again. Apply, apply. See, AC is now being positioned relative to the this blue box again. All right, so that's it for children of parents, and the last option is found under the Appearance tab. It's called Anchor. If you've noticed, whenever we hover over a token, this overlay always gets displayed to the right of it. No matter the token size, it's always centered and positioned kind of glued to the right of the token. And the way this is done is using the anchor field. So if you go to the text box background, overlay configuration, Appearance tab, here you will find the anchor. So what the anchor does is allow you to specify a point on the overlay that will be used to position the overlay. It will be used to position the overlay relative to. So, for example, if we remove the offset for this blue background, set it to 0, and set the anchor to the default one, which is the center of the overlay, you'll see that this overlay is being centered directly on the token. But the center of the overlay is directly on the center of the token. But using this kind of neat little chart as a reference, if instead we wanted to position the overlay according to the top left corner, we would set the anchor to be 0, 0. And see, now the top left corner of the overlay is directly on the center of the token. If we want it to be the top right corner, we would set it to 1, 0. If we want it to be the, let's see, the top of the token, we would set it to 1, 5, 0. And if we want it to the bottom, we would set it to 0.5, 1. So this is useful if you want to glue an overlay to a specific side of the token, but it's also almost necessary if you're using variable length overlays, for example, such as these text overlays. As for example, for this token, the name Azel Ironspell is of a particular size. If we hover other tokens, you'll see that the size of the overlay differs by quite a bit. The adult green dragon is far larger than the one for the black bear. So previously, the module would always position the overlay according to the center of the overlay, which causes problems. If we go to the FF box, the token name overlay, and change the anchor back to 0.5, 0.5, now position it as we would have had before with the old versions of the module. You see it works for the black bear. But now, if we hover over other tokens, because the overlay size changes according to the token's name, the overlay now tends to overflow out of the blue box that we have over here. And that's because we have positioned the overlay to always be roughly over here. The center of the overlay is always roughly on this spot of the blue background. But because the size changes, it overflows more or less to the left and the right. That's why we can use the anchor to always position this overlay relative to the left of it, to the left side of it. So if we set it to 0, 0.5, we can now position the overlay, the left of the overlay, to be right next to the edge of the blue box. And now, whenever the token size changes because of the different lengths of the token name. The overlay always extends out to the right and not to the left. But yeah, that will be about it for these options, I believe. And yeah, I guess look forward to the next developments for the module. Have a good one.